Hi, I'm John Brennan from Glanbia, Ireland. We're here today on the farm of Christian van Teichman in Ashford in County Wicklow. We're here today to discuss the drought requirements and what has been happening on the farm over the last weeks and days to counteract what is actually happening to negate the effect of the drought. Recent rainfall has helped the situation here on the farm, which Christian will detail later on, but also what we need to call out here is that rain is very, very localised at the moment, and individual farms have many different circumstances. So what we're encouraging people is to have a look at what their situation is on their farm, to the individual requirements of that farm, and to make sure that they're making a plan. A plan is vital for the next weeks and months to get us out of this situation, but also equally as important that people review that plan. There's no point putting the plan in place unless we weekly analyse it to make sure that we're on target and making the requirements. So make sure to contact your local Glanbia business manager to help to setting up the said plan and reviewing that plan when required.
We're here in East Wicklow, Ashford in County Wicklow. We're spring herd 120 cows on a robotic grazing system. ABC grazing system, and East Wicklow here now we've been hit particularly hard with the drought. Average rainfall normally with us would be about 550 millimetres of rainfall. Since end of February we've had very little rain. With last rains really were sort of middle of March. No rain or 16 millimetres of rain in April, and I think about the same in May, so getting very tight. 95% is index soil index 4. So we're restricted in spreading P's and K's. Our lime status would be also very high. It's around 6.5 to 7, so very good. And that's probably one of the most important things, I think, to get a response at any stage to fertilisers, that you have your soil nutrient status right. At the moment we're following the cows with fertiliser. We were on a 25-day rotation. Now since the weekend we've pulled that back to a 21-day rotation. Your grass wards are getting 1 unit of nitrogen per day, protected urea. The reseeds, which would be higher in clover, they're getting 0.7 of a unit of nitrogen per day. For silage, first cut silage we cut on the 18th of May. I'd say yield was probably back about 20%. Quality is going to be super. Second cut ground is growing on nicely, so the plan would be to cut that around first, second week of July, and looks like it'll be a decent enough crop. Based on that then, if things are very poor, what we'll do is, we've done before, is we might buy in some whole crop wheat. That's the last case scenario. It's pretty expensive, but what we end up doing for the winter diet is we'll feed straw, grass silage and brewer's grain to the cows. That's the dry cow diet. So based on that, we'll try and pull through with that. I suppose one of the most important things I would say is that we do a weekly grass walk here. That's the most important thing. You know exactly where you are, taking out surplus grass, feeding quality grass to the cows, making sure that you maintain yield, condition, fertility and so on. After that then, based on the situation with the drought, we've made a budget of the first cut silage. Depending on the second cut, then we'll make a decision then on whether we need to buy in whole crop wheat, whether we need to buy an extra feed. Most winters we'd buy in brewer's grains, as I said earlier, so that would give us a bit of a boost also in feed fodder. Stocking rate overall is quite high in the farm here. We're about 3 livestock units per hectare. So, stocked heavily with demand is quite high, the intake demand would be about 16 tonnes of dry matter, 17 tonnes per hectare is what our requirement is on the farm. So our farm cover would have been about 900. Stocking rate is pretty high at 4.6 livestock units per hectare. We had land out for reseeding, which was supposed to be back in the rotation again at this stage, but that hasn't happened. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll have that back in the grazing system. But what we have done is walk the farm weekly and take an action based on that then. So we introduced bale silage and extra meal early on, maybe about a month ago. Generally what we do in a drought situation, that's nothing unusual for us in East Wicklow, is we'd increase meals first up to maybe 6-7 kilos per cow per day. And if things are still declining, then we'll come in with bale silage. At the moment we're allocating a total of 21 kilos of dry matter per cow per day. Since the weekend now, where we had about 20 millimetres of rainfall, since yesterday we've cut the bale silage out completely, so that's 5 kilos less silage. But cows are still milking well, even with the bale silage. We're doing about 2.25 kilos of solids, 30 kilos of milk. Breeding has gone exceptionally well this year, one of the best years ever, with about 95% submission rate in the first 3 weeks. And Very few repeats. Don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll just keep our fingers crossed anyway. But overall, the cow conditions has been great. Cows are looking happy, grazing out very well. Paddocks just generally very happy.